Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel, and boy did the XRP community get quite a surprise last night. Many of you will be aware that we're expecting motions for summary judgment to be filed on Monday, tomorrow, from both the SEC and from Ripple. But last night, they were filed, a couple days early. Now, as far as why that occurred, I put the question out there on Twitter. Nobody seems to know. That's fine. It is what it is for whatever reasons. The information was filed early. It doesn't mean that necessarily there's some big, super, mega secret important behind it or additional meaning. Some people think it means something in terms of settlement or this, that, and it's just coming out of left field. I don't pretend to know, but it happened. And I'll tell you this, I have a number of initial impressions from this. I have read through the entire 83 pages that the SEC filed, and this video is going to be dedicated to that. As I said, Ripple also did after the SEC filed their motion for summary judgment. I'm going to cover that in a separate video because this is just way too much. Like, even just covering the SECs, so I read the whole thing, and I got this bitch printed out. I mean, do you hear that? That is 83 pages of BS. And it really, so in reading through this, I highlighted the parts that I found to be most interesting, and I made a bunch of handwritten notes, and I got these little sticky tags going out the side so that I don't accidentally gloss over anything. If I were literally going to cover everything that's in this, then it would take, I don't even know, like 6 hours. So I don't know how many hours. So I just highlighted the parts that I found to be most interesting. And I'll tell you here, one of the things that to me as a non-lawyer was very striking is the fact that the SEC, they never did point to specific transactions that Ripple engaged in, sales of XRP, that would constitute investment contracts. They never pointed to that. They have pages and pages and pages and pages on what the definition of the Howey test is and certain aspects about perhaps how XRP can apply, but they never make specific assertions. It's just everything. It's every single. And you know why? It's because they want to have complete control over this asset class that we've been talking about for over a year and a half at this point. They're not operating in good faith. So going to dig through this. I'm going to start the video by sharing with you some initial opinions from 3 attorneys within the XRP community. I've got a comment from Brad Garlinghouse. I've got a comment from Stuart Alderati, who is Ripple's general counsel. And then I'm going to share with you some of this stuff. But just consider this a jumping off point. There's no way that this initial run through with me going through this here is going to be all encompassing, in terms of what's in here. But like I said, if I were literally going to go through the whole thing, it'd be completely unreasonable. So I just had to kind of pick and choose, but there will be plenty of opportunities for us to discuss this more as a community, and I'll be certainly making more and more videos on this as additional analysis comes in. But before going further, I want to be clear, I do not have a legal or financial background of any kind. I am not offering legal or financial advice. And you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. All right, so given that this is 83 pages, I had to bring out my mega stapler. Now, that thing, I can't remember exactly what its threshold is, but I think it was like 60 pages. So I've got this big chunk of about 40 pages and another big chunk of about 40 pages because, regular staple can't handle all this nonsense. My gosh. It is what it is, folks. But some of this you're not going to be surprised by, and some of it you're just going to be like, wow, they really carried that BS argument through to the very end. Because I understand, like, this is, like, the end is near. It doesn't mean necessarily that something's imminently going to happen. We've talked about the timeline for this case, but this signals that we are towards the end of the case. When you're talking about summary judgment, which is where final determinations are made by the judge, and then of course you have the motions for summary judgment leading up to it. The end is near. So even if there's still months ahead, end is near, and that's without settlement. I'm still thinking that settlement's more likely, but we'll see what happens. So shout out and credit to James K. File, an attorney and member of the XRP community, for sharing this document. Here is what Stuart Alderati, Ripple's top in-house lawyer, had to say regarding this. The day is finally here. Our motion for summary judgment is public. You can view it here. My hot take, after 2 years of litigation, the SEC is unable to identify any contract for investment, and that's what the statute requires, and cannot satisfy a single prong of the Supreme Court's Howey test. Everything else is just noise. Exactly. So, and that's why, and I've been saying this admittedly for over a year and a half now, but when the initial legal complaint was filed December 22nd in 2020, when the SEC filed that against Ripple, upon absorbing all of that information, it was very clear that there were no actual specific assertions about which transactions would have been in violation of security law. And here we are with the final argument the SEC is making, and they still haven't made any assertions that are specific in terms of that. And as Stuart Alderati cites right here, the statute requires that. They didn't do it. Then there was this from Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse. He wrote, "Today's filings make it clear the SEC isn't interested in applying the law. They want to remake it all in an impermissible effort to expand their jurisdiction far beyond the authority granted to them by Congress." Yeah, that's definitely spot on. And then there was Fred Rispoli, who is an attorney within the XRP community, and he wrote last night, "This will take hours to really dive into, but skimming through the SEC's brief, unsurprisingly, it is relying heavily on marketing efforts. While this is the weakest point for Ripple, I just don't think it is close to being weak enough to give SEC the win, especially with fair notice defense in play." And then somebody named XRP Boy wrote, in response to that, "I read your comment many times, but somehow still don't get it. So SEC's position at this stage is weak, ? And Fred wrote, "You got it. I think the only winning argument SEC has relates to Ripple marketing XRP. But zooming out from this tree and looking at the forest, it's just not enough for the SEC to win." Don't mind reading that. Now, attorney Jeremy Hogan, here's his initial reaction. He's going to be having more coming out. But this is from last night, and his initial reaction was that this is good for Ripple. He wrote, "Video tomorrow. I just read the briefs, and the SEC has got a couple big problems. Number one, its expert agrees that most of the changes in XRP price are due to market forces and not Ripple." Ouch. Which, by the way, let's pause a note. That is undeniably true. Like, it could not be more obvious. If you've been in crypto for more than 5 minutes, you know that the entire asset class, including XRP, moves in tandem. Anyway, Jeremy continues. "These types of concessions are perfect for summary judgment. The SEC failed to get on record that any XRP purchaser heard Ripple's alleged marketing pitch. A big problem because it has the burden to prove everything here. And of course, a lot of other stuff which I will do my best to lay out in a video by tomorrow night if I can sleep." So think about this. Again, attorney Rispoli already pointed out, this isn't strong enough for the SEC. Doesn't look like this is going to be enough to push them over the finish line. But the best points they have to do with Ripple's alleged marketing pitch here. And then here you have Jeremy Hogan pointing out that the whole allegation regarding marketing pitch, they don't have any evidence that it reached the retail effectively. That does kind of sound like a problem, doesn't it? So even if that's their best part, and Fred may well be right, it doesn't mean that it's particularly powerful. You know what I'm saying? Now, attorney Deaton didn't seem to be quite as thrilled, at least initially. Well, I'm sure he's going to have lots more. And this is, again, he still had to digest all this information, and he hadn't even taken all the information. But early in the AM hours today, attorney John Deaton wrote the following. In part, it reads as, "Some XRP holders will be let down when reading Ripple's brief. Many won't get past page 20. I'm on page 33, so I'm reserving comment until finished. But if you wanted or expected red meat, this ain't it." Ooh. So we shall see. And again, I'm going to cover what Ripple responded with, their motion of summary judgment. I'm going to cover that in a separate video because this is too much. Like, we're already, close to 9 minutes in, and I'm just now getting to the part where I'm going to highlight some of the specifics that I found to be most interesting here. But let's go ahead and get to that. And I'll tell you what, I'll try and remember to scroll through for those of you out there that are looking on your screens there. I guess we need to jump down to page 7, with the page number at the bottom being the one that I'm referencing. So let me get to that. Just scroll. Do. This is my scroll song. Just skibbity-doo-pop. Do. This sounds so good. Yeah, here we go. All right, A, Ripple's founders created XRP and the XRP ledger. So I just wanted to say something about this real quick. I don't even feel it necessary to read through the vast majority of these sections. You'll see as I go through this, especially in the early portion of what I'm going to cover here, the SEC is literally saying things that aren't true. So again, even just the headline, Ripple's founders created XRP and the XRP ledger. Well, tell you what, David Schwartz is one of the creators of XRP, as the SEC acknowledges, and he is not a co-founder of Ripple. Jed McCaleb is, and Arthur Britto might be. I think he is off the top of my head, but either way, to publicly state that, it's literally not true. And easily discoverable that that is not true, but they just say these things and they're sloppy about it. Moving on to the next page, page 8. If you look at point B here, which reads as follows, this is the headline. Defendants receive warnings that XRP offers and sales could be investment contracts under Howey. And again, it's on your screen if you want to read what they're talking about here. I'm going to try and do very little of that just because there's so much information to cover. And I'm just going to kind of maybe summarize some of this and then share my personal opinion here. But what they highlight here is, because again, they word it like this. Defendants receive warnings that XRP offers and sales could be investment contracts under Howey. Well, okay, so there's the Perkins-Coie letter that you may recall was from the beginning part of 2012 before Ripple existed. And they because Jed McCaleb, he filed it. It may have been with another individual, I think it was. And he's just like, hey, here's what we're thinking about doing. Would this be legal or illegal? And the notice came back, yeah, there would probably be some problems and securities violations if you take this approach. So they didn't take that approach. They received a warning and then didn't take that approach. And that was before Ripple existed. Then they revised what they wanted to do and sent that new version back into Perkins-Coie. And the response they got back is that XRP is not, and I'm paraphrasing here, XRP is not likely to be found to be in violation of securities laws or being represented an investment contract with this particular approach. I covered that in great detail at the time. So just to blatantly state that Ripple had these warnings and as a result of them, they should have known better. No. That's disingenuous BS. And they know it because they didn't even move forward with such a plan. They didn't. It's like in reading through this, I'm telling you, this was really burning my biscuits because I know enough to know that what they're saying is completely disingenuous. And this is what they're presenting to the judge, mind you. It's complete crap. All right, point C on page 9. Ripple needed to monetize its large XRP stake to fund its ambitious business plans of finding a use for XRP. Well, I will just note this, that first of all, of course, there was no XRP ICO, but you know how Ripple is actually funded? Through venture capitalists. They raised money through venture capitalists. I think, if I'm not mistaken, one of the earliest to back them monetarily was Google. I think they helped them raise something like $55 million right out the gate. And so I'm not pretending like Ripple hasn't made money from XRP. That's obviously well known. I knew that in 2017. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So somebody who has somebody who isn't a central authority, there's no common enterpriser, obviously, there's no central authority here, they don't have control over the XRP ledger, but they have a vested interest. To me, that was very appealing, actually. But what they're stating here, the way that they word it, it's just not a genuine position. But you know these people, they're not operating in good faith, they just want to win, as Judge Netburn pointed out, they're hypocrites. And they're not acting in good faith in accordance to the law. Jumping down to page 13 now. More scroll song. Yeah, here we go. Right at the begins at the bottom. This last sentence here. Ripple also began selling XRP directly to the public. Let me change the page here. Okay, so Ripple also began selling XRP directly to the public through market makers on crypto trading platforms. Folks, look, selling to a market maker is literally not selling to retail. The SEC is blatantly lying here to the judge. That is not selling directly to the public. A market maker is not retail. Like, upon reading that, I'm just like, oh my God, you are actually making these BSR. Well, of course, again, it's the SEC asshats. Will the judge actually fall for this stuff, though? Because if I'm the judge reading this, and I know Judge Torres is highly intelligent and well-informed, if I'm sitting there reading that, I'd just be calling that out myself because I think she knows what's going on in this case. Like, yeah, that's literally not true. But they're making the assertion, seeing what they can pull past the judge. If I'm the judge at some point, I start to feel insulted. I was like, do you actually think I'm this stupid? All right, and then we're on to page 15 here. Right, I'm on it. Yeah, page 15. Towards the top, somewhere up here. Yeah, it's this sentence right here. Ripple dispersed over 800 million units of XRP as executive compensation. Okay, look, this does not make XRP an investment contract. This is in here as an attempt to anger people, to elicit emotion in people reading this. It's like when the SEC used the fraud-like language in its its initial suit against Ripple when they sued Ripple, but they did not claim fraud. They put in all this stuff that was irrelevant to whether or not XRP is an investment contract, and there it is. It's just stir up emotions and make it look make these individuals be viewed as if they're crooks somehow, even though the assertions are never made. So why is this even in here? Well, for the reason I just cited. It has nothing to do with the actual legal argument, though. It's complete garbage. So I just wanted to point that out. Let's jump on down to page 16 now. And this, at no point does this get better for the SEC, by the way. That's not going to surprise you, but just a little heads up in case you were wondering. All right, let's go to point C here, titled the following. Defendants publicized their efforts to lock up certain XRP holdings as proof of Ripple's stewardship of XRP and common interests with investors. So that's a little subheading there, and then in part it reads as follows. Ripple publicly cast itself as a responsible steward of XRP, as Ripple's talking points instructed Ripple employees to publicly note, quote, "We've been strong stewards of XRP, and our interests are very much aligned." In other words, Ripple, as an XRP owner, has similar interests with other XRP holders, end quote. Okay, well, here's my response to that. Wanting XRP to succeed doesn't make it an investment contract, and neither does putting it in escrow. What in the ever-loving hell kind of crap argument is it? Well, see, when you don't have good arguments, all you can do is put out your crap arguments. So in that sense, this isn't surprising, I suppose, right? All right, now we're going to scroll a bit further down. We're going to go on to page 20. Scroll down, down, down. Yeah, here we go. Right towards... Wait, where is it? Sorry, guys. 1 second here. Just getting my bearings. Oh, yeah. Okay, so it's up here right about... This is all for you who are looking at the screen. All right. So this sentence right here that I highlighted, that first word, reads as follows. So we're referencing David Schwartz, who, of course, is Ripple CTO and co-creator of the XRP Ledger. Schwartz noted that if more people wanted to use XRP, then its price would go up, depending on Ripple's good stewardship, perhaps as high as $20 or $120 or higher. And then a little bit lower down here, it reads as follows. In February 2017, Larson and Miguel Villas, another head of XRP markets, encouraged an XRP investor to think of XRP's potential appreciation over the long term, including based on Ripple's entrepreneurial efforts. Villas noted on an investor forum that it was a foregone conclusion that if Ripple continues to focus on the work, as to XRP, XRP's price would go up. Okay, so here's what I have to say on that. The SEC, they spend many pages citing examples similar to these. So these would be like the marketing efforts that were referenced by Fred Rispoli and attorney Jeremy Hogan. Yet they never cite specific sales of XRP violating the law. So every sale, even on secondary markets, is illegal. That's effectively what this means as a result of not citing this. This is a big part of why their arguments are so damn weak. And as Stuart Alderati pointed out, the statute requires that there be specifics here. Yet there are none. So, like, in reading through this, it's a bunch of this, it's just recycled nonsense that we've been talking, a lot of it is for the last year and a half. You would have thought that they would have come out with something, a bit more slam dunkish for the motion for summary judgment, but they didn't because it doesn't exist. That's what I'm thinking. Now let me go. I think that's it for the first chunk of this thing. Let me get the other thing here. All right, so here's the next roughly 40 pages. This is ridiculous. Am I a lawyer yet? You guys let me know. All right. So now we go down to page 26. And there's a lot of this was like such recycled information that honestly, like, I didn't feel the need to even talk about it. And I'm not kidding. Like, as you go through this, if you read this thing yourself, then you'll know that a lot of this stuff, like, they'll say one thing, but then they like repeat it many, many, many pages later. And it is what it is. That's just how they did it. All right, so here, point 4. Defendants' marketing was successful. Reasonable market participants viewed XRP as an investment. Well, I'll just say this. When I bought XRP in 2017, I certainly didn't think that it was some sort of investment contract in Ripple, the company. In fact, what I found appealing, as I stated a couple minutes or so ago, was that Ripple, although, yeah, they held a lot of XRP and they were selling it, they didn't have any special control over it, which again, of course, means no common enterprise. So I did like what they were doing, and it's not like I'm pretending that what they're doing wouldn't necessarily help the price of XRP to go up at some point. But the way that I was looking at things, even dating back to like my earliest of days, it's more so about a number of developers, the totality of that bringing up, ensuring long-term viability, and thus, as more people jump into crypto for various reasons and invest in XRP ideally, that all of those things, the totality of it would prop it up. But that doesn't mean that it's some sort of common enterprise, and it doesn't mean that XRP is the center of such a common enterprise. It doesn't exist. That's complete garbage. The fact that they don't have control over this is why I found it appealing. If it were centralized, I'd have been like, this isn't for me. Not really for me. But see, this is the way I look at every single crypto ecosystem is the more developers you have building on top of a platform, the better, just in a general sense. So, but if that it represents a common enterprise, well, then we can't even have crypto in the United States. You can't even have it. Because what, the people that, because basically you're saying you can have a cryptocurrency, but nobody can build anything on top of it. Otherwise, it's a security. If they sell it. If they build on top and they sell it. So it's like, you can't even do it. You can't even do it. And really, even if not selling it, like I'm not even sure that would, protect anybody. If you're even building on top of a public ledger, these assets are so unreasonable. Who knows what the hell arguments they make anyway. All right, now let's jump to the later part of page 27 here. Yes, here's point 5 here. Ripple sold and distributed over $2.1 billion of XRP, and the individual defendants sold $600 million into the public XRP markets they had created. Okay, well, Brad and Chris sold outside of the United States, where the SEC has no jurisdiction. And there are no claims of fraud. This is just noise. That's the reason I want to highlight. This is purely noise. And again, they never point, in this whole thing, they never point to specific XRP transactions that violated the law. So if they're not doing that, then every single transaction ever since the inception of XRP was a violation of securities laws, right? What else can you presume? It's just such a garbage argument. It really, truly is. It strains credulity so far as I'm concerned. All right, now let's jump down. We're actually getting to, there's so much repetition here. We're actually getting towards the end of the stuff that I wanted to cover for this initial video, which again, like I said, not attempting to make this be something that would be all-encompassing, but I read through this thing one time in its totality, and I was like, let's just share initial thoughts here. And there's going to be a lot more to say about this stuff in the coming days and weeks. But it's to me, as a non-lawyer, like, to me, this looks surprisingly weak. And Attorney Raspolia and Attorney Hogan seem to be thinking that that's their initial impression as well. Like, this really isn't particularly good for the SEC. Now there's this headline from B right here. XRP purchasers reasonably expected to profit from their purchase of XRP. And then there's this sentence right here that reads as follows. The potential for profit need not be the sole reason a purchaser buys an investment, and all purchasers need to buy with an expectation of profit. So again, the potential for profit need not be the sole reason a purchaser buys an investment, and not all purchasers need to buy with an expectation of profit. Okay, so think about this. This is the same thing that they argue in the SEC v. Library case. If one person buys the coin with an expectation of profit, it's a security. You would have to have 0 humans expect profit. Otherwise, it's a security. But you actually may recall this too. I mentioned this the other day. In the library case, when they were arguing in court, they actually took it even further. They said it's not even just if one person is, or people in general think that the price could go up, or that they're purchasing it because they think it may go up. It's that if they could have purchased it for that reason. So even if they didn't purchase it with expectation of profit, if they could have purchased it with that expectation, then it's still a security. Think about what that means. Everything is a security. It's such ridiculous arguments. And then there was this, and I think this is the last highlight that I got for this thing, and then I'll wrap up here, because it's already a long video, and it's just like, even with me trying to be like reasonable how much I'm covering for this first go-round, it's still a long video. Relatively speaking, of course. Then there's this. Point number 1 at the top of your screen here. Defendants undisputedly marketed XRP as an investment. Ripple promoted XRP as an investment from the outset. On numerous occasions, through a variety of channels, Ripple touted XRP's potential to increase in value and for demand. Demand in XRP to grow from Ripple's efforts while reminding investors of the fixed finite supply of XRP. Okay. Again, it's just to wrap this all together, they're making these claims, yet no specific sales ever signed. And it goes, that's why it goes on and on. Like, I could scroll through, and I mean, you can read this thing yourself. They go into cite all these things and marketing efforts and this or that, which is why I don't even feel like reading it. Not to you. I mean, I read the whole thing, but again, even if I do that, they never get to the part where they make an actual assertion about specific sales. It's just nonsense. It's like they're saying stuff that isn't tying anything together. You know, for a layperson like me, again, no legal background, that's just what it looks. That's how it strikes me. It's not sufficiently coherent. They're just making these assertions. So that's it for me for this first go around. There's going to be a lot more to talk about. My next video, I'm going to be covering what Ripple had to say, which frankly I think is even more interesting. So look forward to that coming out just a little bit later this evening. But thank you so much for your support. I very much do appreciate it. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. There's so much for our community to discuss on this stuff, but I'll wrap up here. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.